Hi, this is Naroki5. I am going to be doing this until I die or I find something better to do. So please help me achieve this personal and, I think, noble objective by contributing to my Patreon or Subscribe Star. Link is down below. Every little bit helps. Thank you very much.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to this here's extra edition of the Red Pill Nation. This is Red Pill Nation number 371, the Hollywood edition. Now, what is going on with this? Well, once again, we had so much activity on the Hollywood front this last week that we couldn't actually we had so much activity that what I ended up having to do is that I had to go and make a had to go and make a different I had to go and make it a different episode of it. There's a lot of stuff going on. There's actually, if Ritchson, are you back yet? Ah, there you are.
Indeed, I am.
The issue that I was listening to, I was listening to a version of macro aggressions last night on the way back in. And one of the things they have noticed is that, and this is something that I have noticed because we're at the point now where we've had this thing is the third or maybe was it the fourth or fifth time this year that we've had to do two separate shows in 1 week because of all the activity involved. And one of the things that got pointed out in this particular edition of macroaggressions, and this is something that, again, that both Ritchson and I have noticed, is that things are speeding up. And the issue that got pointed out to me listening to that particular episode of macroaggressions was that the idea of speeding things up the way they have, it's a way of kind of psychologically keeping people off balance. You don't have the time to properly process the information that is coming at you. And because so much stuff is coming at you in a much faster capacity than, say, what was happening last year, like it's kind of like it's putting a lot of people, if they're not paying particular attention to what's going on around them, it's kind of putting them in almost like a kind of a stressed and micro-focused state. And because they just want to get on with their day, and they don't want to be thinking about this, and it's sort of like it's like you barely have time to process the information unless you have a specific job or task, like, say, myself and Ritchson, who do this for a living and know what's going on and take the time, effort, and energy to actually process what's happening. I mean, you don't think about this stuff. And this is something that I noticed. So yeah, here we are, right? Just a lot of, I mean, why do I specifically cover? And this is an issue. There's a couple of people that are regular guests that take regular seats on the show who kind of rib at me and don't particularly think that this, when I start covering the Hollywood stuff, and yeah, I don't cover the gossip, right? I don't do this celebrity's banging this celebrity and all of that jazz. 'Cause, I mean, it's redundant and it's pointless. But I do cover issues of political correctness and cultural Marxism and all of those. I do cover that stuff on an ongoing and regular basis, right? And the reason why I do is because people consume it and people watch it and people listen to it, right? And I know a lot of people just think, well, it's just brain dead entertainment, except, of course, that people seem to also forget that politics is downstream of culture. And if it was so insignificant and so unimportant, then why does Hollywood and the triumvirate, say, BlackRock cabal, and the people over the WF, why do they seem to think that it is so important that they have to continuously monitor what is going on and will actually fight to hold on to positions of power in Hollywood? Why does Kathleen Kennedy, for instance, continue to thrive? Like, why do certain shows that are obviously not doing well continue to thrive? Like, why is, like, for instance, like topic number 1 tonight, The View impresses everyone with their grasp on silence. We had an eclipse. I didn't cover the eclipse on 370. I didn't. For a lot of people it was important, it was in the news, but I mean, it's not really under the purview of what I cover. There was a lot of insane theories going on around about it. However, the eclipse is caused, for instance, not by global warming. The eclipse is caused when the sun passes in front of the moon and the shadow falls on the earth. And The View did some stuff that's incredibly stupid, and they said some stuff that was incredibly stupid. And it's sort of like, and you're seeing celebrities say and do just incredibly stupid stuff all the time. And you're seeing it over and over and over again. And as I go through these, you're going to see what I'm talking about. So the topics for tonight. Oh, by the way, Ritchson, introduce yourself, and then I'll get into the topics.
I don't know what to say anymore. No gimp suits, no ball gags tonight. At least I'm not participating in them. If the subject is brought up tonight, I assure you, it is not by me, and nor have I participated ever. So I don't know kinky shit Naroki's into. Although I know a couple of things, but we'll leave all of that alone. Boobs. Although I don't think we'll get into that topic tonight. Probably not. But other than that, yeah, not much else to say. All yours.
Okay, for those of you who don't know, I am at Patreon of the Red Pill Nation. I am at YouTube, Odyssey, Rumble, Brighteon, MGTOW TV, and Rumble. Maybe I said that twice. We're starting the show kind of late because I actually overslept. I guess I must have needed the sleep. I'm also at Facebook, Minds, Gab, MeWe. The TLB Talks is on hiatus right now, and Getter. And yeah, for those of you who don't know, yeah, that's where it can be located. Like everybody, please subscribe. I'm noticing that again, now that I'm not the whole basis of my shows is not based out of YouTube and having to constantly fight to overcome the censorship that is there, and focusing on the alt media channels. Yeah, a mysterious thing is happening. This channel is growing. I won't say it's growing exponentially, but it's growing a lot faster than it ever was when it was just on YouTube. And yeah, it's a good thing. So for the topics for tonight, 1, The View hosts impress everyone with their grasp of science. Oh, wow. Yeah, I had to start with that one. 2, TV series Star Alan Ritchson has meltdown and attacks cops, Christians, and Trump. 3. New Romeo and Juliet movie stars Tom Holland and quite possibly the ugliest black actress ever, Francesca Amewudah-Rivers. Oh God, man, it's when I get to it, we'll discuss it. It's just, yeah, it's just, oh my God, it's yeah. And we'll get into it. Topic number 4: Disney caught using bots to promote Star Wars Outlaws. Community manager Shauna Jones exposes anti-white misandric bigot. And Star Wars female, and consequently, Star Wars females in TV series and in games are specifically being designed to be ugly. Not a surprise there. We're talking about Disney, right? 5. Hollywood studios have reduced pilot episodes 95% this year. Topic number 6: Wokesters melting down over Joker movie because Lady Gaga is in it. And when I have meltdown, that one's kind of strange. But they've always kind of done Joker kind of strange. And 6, and I did actually go see this movie last night when I got home because I actually had time to. Leftists are pissed because Civil War wasn't woke, and it wasn't. And I think maybe they did that on purpose. In fact, maybe they even tried a little bit too hard to make it that way. So without any further ado, let's get into the actual topics tonight. So the first one is, of course, we had an eclipse last week. We actually had a fairly significantly large eclipse last week. Made a lot of noise. Was very interesting. Really wasn't all that visible because from where I was at. But if you lived in, say, Dallas or Indianapolis, or say over the city, well, not so much over the city of Ottawa.
Niagara Falls.
Niagara Falls, that places like that, it kind of slid. The total eclipse slid south of Toronto, but there was a partial there. I can't remember the name of this. Oh, Kitchener, I believe it is. Kitchener was subject to the full eclipse, as was not Halifax, Fredericton. I think got a full spread. Montreal was closer to the actual center of the eclipse than Toronto was, but it only it wasn't full over those two cities. Anyway, it's an interesting and fascinating thing. I have never actually got to witness a full-on eclipse. The closest I've ever actually had to witnessing I've seen lunar eclipses a few times, but I've never actually had one. I've never actually had one pass right over the area where I'm living. There's been partial. There was a fairly significantly huge one that passed over, say, Seattle and Winnipeg when I was a kid. That's the closest. That's the closest it's gotten to me. There was a bunch of stupidity around it. And I mean, the thing about eclipses is that I mean, people know enough about full observation and that sort of thing to know when they're going to happen and where they're going to fall and that sort of thing. So a lot of the mystery's been taken out of them. There was a fair amount of insanity around it, which I chose not to cover because it's like I know the science on eclipses. The moon passes between the sun and the earth, that its shadow falls directly on the planet. Simple, straightforward, fascinating to see when you see it, but it's not the real thing. And for the most part, I ignored it until, of course, it was over. And you kind of expect. There's this one show, and I've covered it more than a few times on this program, and it continues to consistently come up with the most brain dead, stunned, stupid, fucking takes that any show in Hollywood keeps coming up with, and yet somehow it must be getting regular viewership because it's still on the show, and that's The View.
Karen Dupiche, our wonderful, one of our wonderful makeup artists, when the earthquake was happening, she put her coat on and she was like, Jesus is coming.
I'm out.
I'm out. I'm leaving. We've got a solar eclipse. We've got the earthquake. She ran down the hallway.
The rapture is here.
The rapture's here. And then also I learned that the cicadas are coming.
Cicadas.
Although I love for the first time in like
No.
100 years.
No.
Two different. Well, this is what I read.
There's two different kinds of cicadas.
Yes, two different times are coming.
The good cicadas and the bad cicadas.
But for the first time in many, many years.
No, every 17 years this happens.
Well, that's not what I read, but maybe you know better. But
in a way,
would say all those things together would maybe lead one to believe that either climate change exists, or something is returning.
Earthquakes are not at the mercy of climate change. It's underground.
It happens, and the eclipse. They've known about the eclipse coming because eclipses happen.
Most important issue is education, guys. We got to get smarter, right? We got to get smarter, and there is no better professors than the ladies on The View to teach us about the eclipse of the solar eclipse that was taking place. Rob, if you could be kind enough to play this clip, because she's educating us that even Whoopi almost walked out.
But can you warn our viewers, though? You might actually get dumber. Like your brain might hurt.
Vinny, don't say that. I mean, listen, for some of you guys that are watching this, just, Vinny's trying to give you some kind of a disclaimer. Just watch it with an open mind. Like maybe you could learn something. Watch it with an open mind. Go ahead, Rob.
Leaving, we've got a solar eclipse. We've got the earthquake. She ran down the hallway.
The rapture is here.
The rapture's here. And then also I learned that the cicadas are coming.
Cicadas.
John
Cicadas coming, folks.
Another day.
No.
100 years.
No.
Two different. Well, this is what I read.
Different kinds of cicadas.
Yes, two different times are coming.
The good cicadas and the bad cicadas.
But for the first time
Look at Whoopi can't even.
No, every 17 years this happens.
Why did Whoopi not?
Watch, Adam.
Sorry.
All those things together would maybe lead one to believe that either climate change exists, or something is returning.
Earthquakes are not at the mercy of climate change. It's underground.
You know what?
It happens.
Listen, here's what I will tell you.
The eclipse, they've known about the eclipse.
If you think about it, if you want to pause this with the cicada, right? Every time we're together, if you think about it, it never be the same. Okay? If you're not here, how can you stay away? How can you stay away so long? Why can't we stay together? Oh, just give me a reason. Give me a reason. Because I don't want to say, I don't want to find another way to make it through the day without the view. Right? It's just to make another day. All right, by the way, we're officially fired, but listen, the cicadas are coming. The cicadas on The View. So if you watch listen, if she helped people download Just Another Day, another 100,000 people downloaded, I think that's a great song. I applaud her for doing that, but wanted to make sure we start off the podcast today with some education, folks. Yes. That the cicadas and the cicadas are coming, and it may be linked to climate change if you're watching The View. Tom, do you want to add a little bit of fact check here with this, if you can help us out a little bit with the cicada?
It's really interesting. I've never seen a Nobel Prize winner on The View, and now I think I understand why. It's like this is different. No, there's cyclical things that happen naturally, and cicadas, which is like a flock of
cicada,
locusts,
kind of there.
Bugs. It's like a red tide. Every now and then you see at the beach, you see red tides. You have these algae blooms and stuff, and a bunch of fish die. Everything doesn't lead back to climate change, right? You
don't know, though. You don't know for a fact. You can't make a comment like that, Tom. It's an irresponsible comment.
Maybe
Because it's a seasonal thing, Tom. Because John Cicada is going to come back.
Well, if John Cicada is going to go back on tour, maybe he comes back every 17 years and goes on tour. And it's, as opposed to a flock of bugs that just
First
blooms
of all,
up.
I know you guys. I hope you're not making fun of John Cicada.
No, what do you mean?
Because that song to me is a sick song.
You realize somebody today's going to go up to him like, John, they're singing the song.
No, listen.
PBD podcast.
By the way, I guarantee some people right now cannot get the song. Can you imagine they're at work? Just another day. Are you singing John Cicada? I am. I'm so sorry. I was watching this.
Yeah.
John Cicada.
Can I just fact check Tom for a second, just about the cicadas?
Yeah, you should. Yeah.
I mean, it dates back to 1961 is what happened. It was actually the cicadas. It was a aggregation company in Cuba, of all places.
Really?
And for socioeconomic, political reasons, they emigrated to Miami, Florida, of all places.
The cicadas. It was a big family.
Exactly. And then
Cuban family.
What happened was
Climate change came next.
they started growing up there. They started raising their people there.
Yeah.
They actually started studying it at Hialeah High School, which then turned into University of Miami.
Okay, now we're going to go into the story.
This is actually John Cicada's bio.
All right.
Who grew up in Miami.
Did he really grow up in Miami?
Yes.
Okay.
From Miami. He went to Hialeah
By the way, how old is John Cicada?
John Cicada was born in 1961.
Okay, so he's 63. He's 63 years old. Wow. There's no way he's 63.
He was born in Havana.
What do you mean? He was old when I was.
He's a good-looking guy right there, man. John, wherever you are, shout out to you.
Shout out, John.
Your song at least increased the U.S. population by 1 million people.
And his family was known as the Swarm. So it's like
God,
he's a Miami guy.
Right.
Hialeah High, University of Miami.
Big solar eclipse guy. Big solar eclipse guy.
So if you like this clip and you want to watch another one, click right here. And if you want to watch the entire podcast, click right here.
It's only like The View. I mean, even TYT, specifically Anna Kasparian, has figured out that, Anna Kasparian is not I didn't know this about Anna Kasparian, but she got assaulted and robbed by a bunch of homeless people a few years back, and the COVID situation, it didn't directly impact her, but it did impact her dad significantly. Her dad had tenants that refused to pay rent, and he could not evict them. So Anna Kasparian, of course, has more than enough money. So it was her dad. So she had more than enough financial resource, and also she had an issue going on with her car and the supply chain issues around her car that caused her to. It kind of caused her to soften up her stances, and she had enough brains to figure out that it's like she has the financial resources to deal with that issue. If she had to wait a couple of months to get her car fixed, so be it. She can just go rent a car for a month or two, right? Yeah, if her dad wasn't getting any rental income from the apartment that he bought, then she could just supplement the income until, the crisis is over, and then he could evict these idiots, which is exactly what happened. But I mean, what it did, unlike Shank, what it did is that it brought the whole COVID situation, brought Anna Kasparian back down to earth. It got her out of the bubble, and it made her realize that, people are legitimately fucking struggling because of government policies and shit that's going on. Now, she didn't obviously convert all the way, but I mean, she's definitely softened up her stances. The stupidity from TYT over the past few. If you've been wondering why the consistent stupidity from TYT hasn't been coming out of Anna Kasparian, now you know why. But you can always count on TYT to still. It's not her. It's the number 3 guy at the Young Turks that's being the really stupid son of a bitch right now. Another one that you can always count on to be really fucking stupid is The View. The View is so consistently stupid, so consistently able to take the wrong stand and say the wrong fucking thing every single time. And one of them tied in what was going on with the Eclipse, and I just absolutely gobsmacked because what she mentioned had absolutely nothing to do with what was actually going on, is that she tied the eclipse into global warming. Those two topics have nothing at all in common.
Oh my God. Seriously.
I saw the clip.
Really? Oh my. Who was it?
It was the Hispanic lady. I can't remember what her name is. Not the one who's really consistently stupid. Not Joy Behar, and it wasn't Whoopi Goldberg, whom, by the way, is getting sued for saying stuff about somebody without bothering to check the facts. No, it was the Latino chick. I can't remember specifically whom it was.
It doesn't matter.
It does. It
stupid.
It really doesn't matter. Yeah, she tied in what was going on with the eclipse into global warming, and it's like, and they're like, what are you? Nobody bothered to correct her on the show, and it's like, yeah, like just absolute, total fucking stupidity. And I was just like, are you kidding me? Like, how is it that they do not know this? Like, how is it that they do not know what causes an eclipse? I mean, this is established science, which, by the way, we were supposed to trust during COVID. And it's like, how much of a bubble do you have to be in to not figure that out? Hold on a second. I'm looking at the Viewcast here. It's not Meghan McCain. Would it be Sunny Hostin? Yeah, I think it was Sunny Hostin that said it, because it wasn't Meghan McCain. I know that. Oh, no, it was Ann Navarro. That's who it was. Anna Navarro. Let me just take a look.
I had a feeling her last name was Navarro, but I wasn't going to say anything. Shocker.
Yeah, no, she was the one that said the really. I mean, it was sort of like, what are you, stupid? And of course, I mean, you've seen photos of her. Yeah, I believe it was Anna Navarro. It was either Anna Navarro or the only other one that it could have been would have been Sunny or Sunny Hostin. I think it was probably Sunny Hostin because she had longer hair. And I was just like, wow. Like, just wow. And again, right, even for The View, this is stupid taken to another level. Oh, look at that. Hassan Piker is suddenly facing the music too, but we'll not talk about that one. I'm gonna turn it over to you, Ritchson.
Anything that comes out of the mouth of The View, I'm going to take with a grain of salt, to say the least. They've proven themselves, in my opinion, to be just a bunch of windbags that just happen to have a set of tits or boobs or a pussy. Although in the case of Joy Behar and Whoopi Goldberg's most old and leathery, sagging titties. So, and folks, yet again, with the Red Pill Nation, there are no standards. Really, there aren't. So, I lived in Southern Ontario, and I remember there was an eclipse in the 90s. Excuse me. Woke up about an hour and a half ago. No, 2 hours ago. But anyway, there was an eclipse about 2 years. No, 2 years ago. About 2 decades ago. No, 3, I guess now. And sky got dark. I didn't know what was going on, or didn't really care as to what. I don't remember. I don't remember there being much about it. And this would have been about an hour's drive, more or less, west by northwest from Niagara Falls. Not too far away from Kitchener, actually. And the sky grew dark. I got a little bit tired, and that was basically about it. Logic, reason, as I would think of it being anyway, not by a leftist definition, but more of a more center right. There's very little that I think that I would be able to find sensible being spewed out from the mouths of the females from The View. Especially with what, it doesn't really matter what it is with them. But I'm honestly more of a flat earther, so I don't know what to think anymore. No, this is going to be something that Naoki and I are not going to agree on, and for now, that's fine. Will my views be my actual view, not The View, but my actual personal views be validated at some point or corrected? That's possible. I have no idea. So, all of that being said and done, I have to honestly question what the fuck's going on, because I was walking to one of the co-op liquor stores where I live, one downtown. And I looked up and I saw a sliver of the moon. And I just thought to myself, that's impossible. Like, it can't. It didn't seem correct that the moon could be there when a day or two ago, maybe even 2 or 3 days prior, there was the eclipse. And this was about 7 or 8 o'clock at night, I believe. Or I left at 9 o'clock. No, that's right. I'd finished work and I was walking my way over there. So this is, like 9:15 in the evening when the eclipse was done by about, was it 7 or 8 o'clock? I think it might have been about like 9, 10 o'clock in the morning, Eastern. And being a very, very, very much of an amateur astrologer, I can't reconcile the moon being where it was to that it would have been there with the eclipse. Because effectively the moon has to be a new moon that passes, in theory, between our viewpoint and the sun. So I'm still scratching my head, and apparently there's a clip that was floating on Telegram of the eclipse happening, but then the guy turns around and he notices that the moon is at another patch of the sky, and he's going, but that can't be right. Like, this doesn't make any sense. So I would apologize for being a doubting Thomas, but it doesn't make any fucking sense to me, and it doesn't. So I don't know honestly what to think. What I can tell you is that I've got two very intuitive, very spiritually sensitive, my former manager and a coworker. And my coworker, a week leading up to the eclipse, she was overwhelmed and was very, very antisocial because she couldn't handle what was going, like I said, with the build up to it. Once it got to a certain point before it happened, I think she had said. And then she was fine. So I don't know. But the two of them have said that we've shifted for the better. And I'm not that sensitive. I'm not terribly sensitive to those things, but that's going to change soon enough. But it's I don't know anymore. Like I really don't know what to think in terms of anything. It just feels like we've had nothing but lies being fed to us constantly that I don't know up from down. So take that however you will. But Naroki, I'll leave it. I'll send that one back to you. But as for the View, fuck, whatever. The sooner those bitches get canceled, the happier I'm going to be. But it's not going to happen until Disney completely either collapses or there's a massive overhaul and things can actually go in the direction that would make sense to most people. So back to you.
Okay, well, lucky for you, I just got back. Yes, this is me pouring pop into a cup, into a glass while I'm talking. I need to step back and get some liquids into my system here. Yeah, just absolute. Like, wow. Like, what? I mean, you get really epic, stupid actors like Mark Ruffalo, but I mean, consistently with regularity, the performers on The View, it's just like you expect the Young Turks to have the absolute stunned stupid take. You expect Hassan Piker, who might actually be on the next show because he's now under investigation for saying something stupid on his podcast, to come up with the epic stupid response, and you expect the Young Turks to do it. Not so much Anna Kasparian anymore, but definitely the other people on the Young Turks. Like, I've noticed that Anna Kasparian has been moving away from doing a lot of the stupid takes that the Young Turks have done. But yeah.
Pardon me for stepping in here, but she's starting to wake up. And I won't be the least bit surprised if in the next year she either walks away or she'll be Candace Owens.
Yeah, no. Like I said, with her specifically, the events around the events around her life had much more of an in fact, I've almost considered talking to because they're apparently, I mean, I actually asked this on my Facebook at one point because I was one of the very few people who, and by the way, I'm not vaxxed, but I'm seen to have been one of the very few people that, and Ritchson I don't think falls into this category, but I do, that came out of what happened started in 2020 and came out the other side of it in better shape than when I went in.
In what sense?
Everything except maybe I have never fully returned to going to the gym on a regular basis. So I'm definitely in need of going back to the gym. But physically, mentally, emotionally, financially, spiritually, all of that other stuff, like, everything else in my life advanced. Specifically on the financial front, things definitely got better. I mean, for one, when I had my mom died, and I had that financial reserve to fall back on so that I could take the necessary, I didn't have to rush back to work to recover, to start back up to work once COVID ended. Once I was dealing with that COVID situation, because it dragged out much longer than I thought it was going to.
Well, I suppose in a sense I came out ahead because my uncle passed away, and there are a number of things that my nephew just couldn't bring with him were donated. So, in a sense, I pillaged quite a few things from his possessions. I walked away with a small freezer. So that's helped me quite a bit with being able to store more food when shit hits the fan. So, in terms of actual finances, I was doing well enough, but working my ass off for 12 hours of when overtime was available, but it ended up being squandered anyway. So, no, not really. Anyway.
No, most people, when I talk to them, most people definitely regressed. But no, I came out substantially further ahead. And it's like most people, when I talk to them and what happened during COVID, that wasn't the case. Even say, for instance, when they put the restrictions on vaxxed people, that didn't really impact. It didn't impact my work because I was basically working alone and unsupervised, and it didn't impact me personally. The only thing that I kind of didn't. The only thing that really may have affected me in that regard was when I still do go to a lot of movies, although I'm noticing that even my movie attendance is starting to drop off because of all the stuff. For instance, I'm going to have to seriously consider whether I'm ever going to go see am I going to go next time Disney comes out with a movie? Because it's not that I want to go see Disney movies, but I am one of those guys that will happily and quite willingly pretty much go out and see anything that is out there. And I've had to go and watch some notoriously bad shit over the years. But I mean, it's, I make the time and the effort to get in my car, which is what I did because we got in town a little earlier than we normally do. I had the time, for instance, to go and see Civil War last night. And it's neither here nor there, but yeah, I appear to have been one of the few, and I've considered talking. I asked the question on Facebook, and yeah, a couple people kind of came out ahead, but they appear to be the exceptions rather than the rules. The rule. Anyway, let's get into the next topic here. This next one, I almost considered maybe downloading this guy's show because it's Alan Ritchson from Reacher. This is doing very well, and it pisses feminists and wokesters off because it's a strong, independent, white male, good-looking white male lead. And the movie and the TV series is doing absolutely fucking gangbusters. Reacher is doing very well. They're going into season 2. He's got a bit of a following. So, man, the show might actually go on for a few years now, probably. And the wokesters hate the feminists, especially misandric feminists, just hate the movie because it's a white. Let's just say it what it is. The far left hates the movie, and the globalists hate the TV series because it features a strong white male. That's the bottom line. They hate the fact that it's a white male lead. Anyway, so this guy, Alan Ritchson, he is an established Hollywood actor. And he chose to enter the sphere of culture and politics, and he ended up saying some stuff specifically about police. And it was like, oh, well, the police can get away with murdering anybody. And it's sort of like, and that wasn't where it stopped. Alan Ritchson is also a Christian. And it's like, he said something, he said something else that was extra stupid. He couldn't understand why Christians were such strong Trump supporters. And then, of course, he went on to thought a bit of an anti-Trump tirade. Support, there was obviously some serious blowback for Ritchson on Twitter. But instead of Ritchson and you kind of expected this given what people know about Alan Ritchson as a person, instead of going silent, or instead of perhaps going, well, like, I understand the perspective of everybody else. Instead, what he does is he doubles down on Twitter and says, yo, you don't like what I said, then bring it on. And of course, like, because he was so stupid as to double down, people did bring it on. And my response to the show is my personal feeling with what Ritchson did is sort of like, well, what did they offer you to say something that stupid? Like, you have a good television show that's entertaining, that does have a political element to it, but the Jack Reacher character, as has been played by Tom Cruise in 3 different movies now, is not. He has an internal moral compass, an internal moral guide, but he's not a particularly political guy. In fact, Tom Cruise himself, well, of course, Tom Cruise has a bias, but I mean, Tom Cruise does everything humanly possible to keep his political bias out of the productions that he's had. We've had Tom Cruise on. We had to cover Tom Cruise once when they were shooting the last Mission Impossible movie, and they were being incredibly restrictive on the COVID guidelines because of everything that was going on, and Tom Cruise actually chastised members of the crew for not following the COVID guidelines strongly enough, and he probably had good reason to, right? Ritchson did something completely unexpected, and then he doubled down on it, and I don't watch a lot of television to begin with. Yet my response to Ritchson was, I don't have to bring it on with you. My idea of bringing it on with Alan Ritchson is to go, yeah, I'll bring it on. I'll bring it on by not ever watching your television show. How's that for bringing it on? Of course, he can't possibly respond to everybody, but he quite clearly got blowback, and he doubled down, and there were some questions about, well, did they offer you a movie slot? So one of the studios offer you a movie role, and now you have to start doing this? Because it's sort of like, even like when I start talking to people about stuff now, like for instance, when I mentioned, hold on. When I mentioned stuff like Get Woke, Go Broke, right? A lot of people know what that means now. It's not just some obscure factoid being done by crazy internet ideologues, right? Get Woke, Go Broke is a well-known thing. The red pill is also becoming a well-known trope in society. The manosphere is rising to prominence. There's a whole bunch of stuff, and Hollywood just does not seem to want to clue in, which is why we're doing this tonight. In particular, what Disney continues to do. But yeah, Ritchson, really stupid move on your part. It won't kill your TV series because people can separate the actor from the role he's playing and from the TV series he's doing. It's going to probably take a season or 2 or 3 for you to get back to the respectability and support you've had in the past. because everybody now has you firmly put in the camp of woke fucking idiots. And with that, I'm going to turn it over to Ritchson.
The only question I would ask him is, so, did you visit one of Epstein's friends and stay overnight? Did you have fun? Or did you wake up and have flip the script on how you feel on things? Just asking for a friend. Oh, for fuck's sakes. I don't even know what to say to this one. But I can assure you folks that I don't, and I'm not. I haven't watched anything on TV. I mean, shit. My spouse had Amazon Prime membership. She watched a couple of things on it, but she asked me if would I watch anything, and I just told her no, I'm not. And again, between Naroki and myself, I'm not the media guy. I've got my music that I'm quite happy with. I'm expanding into other things on YouTube, CrackTube, whatever you want to fucking call it. So, if Naroki didn't bring this up as a topic, I wouldn't know what the fuck's going on. And even if I did, I have not watched a good show on TV in a long time. Again, Marvel Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. on ABC, which is owned by Disney. They're near the end of the second season. They went total TDS, Trump derangement syndrome. And for me, it was like, okay, well, I'm this invested into the series so far. I'm going to watch it to the end, but that was it. I didn't go back for season 3. I don't even know how long it lasted after that or how many episodes were in it. Don't fucking care. Like,
okay, it was Sonny Hoskin, by the way, who made that brain dead statement.
Okay, well, that's fine. Doesn't fucking matter to me. Don't know. I wouldn't know the bitch if she came up and bit me or blew me. Maybe she's got that Latina ass that just exploded and she turned 25. Fuck, whatever. Remember, folks, when it comes to Hollywood, there's a club and you're not in it and you don't want to be in that club. So, I don't know what to say. I really honestly don't know what to say. I don't give a shit. I really don't. So they can be as dumb and as woke as they want to be, because you know what? At the end of the day, they're going to do it anyway. So let him say what he's going to say. Let him shoot himself in the foot. It is no skin off of my back, nor is it my foot that he is going to be deep throating, because he's done a great job of doing it all on himself. Now, whether he was coerced or there was some sort of script that had to be flipped on him, I don't know. And again, as I said, I don't rightly care, because I have much more important things to worry about in my life, and I'll be having a long talk with you about that tomorrow, my friend, when you come down. So on that note, I've got nothing more to say, and let's move on.
Yeah, let's. Jack Reacher, Alan Ritchson. Yeah, don't know what caused you to say the things you did. I mean, I get it. It's Hollywood. It's the bubble. Hollywood is another universe unto itself. But yeah, I mean, seriously, what the fuck were you doing? Anyway, let's move on to the next one. And this one just absolutely blew. Well, I didn't say it blew my mind, but I mean, it was going to be one of the actual original topics, and then we had to change things last minute. Tom Holland, who plays Spider-Man, signed on for a project, Romeo and Juliet, and he's playing the part of Romeo. Where I've seen versions of Romeo and Juliet. In fact, we actually covered, which by the way had this movie actually had Rachel Zegler in it. West Side Story, which is a modern day version of Romeo and Juliet. Steven Spielberg or whoever was responsible for the content of that movie decided that when the characters were speaking Spanish on the screen that they weren't going to put subtitles in there. And it was like, what are you, a fucking idiot? Like, nobody is going to walk out of Romeo and Juliet saying, I couldn't understand what they were talking about. I need to go learn Spanish. Instead, people who wouldn't and couldn't be bothered listening, trying to figure out what the hell they were going to say, they just didn't go see the movie, and the movie tanked. Just like pretty much how everything that Rachel Zegler touches seems to tank, but I digress. Now, this particular movie was, wow. Okay, they've had West Side Story, which is basically two different ethnicities falling in love, and you kind of expected that. So, I mean, to have two different, to play it where they were of two different races, is not that big of a reach. However, when they put up the character who was going to play Juliet for the movie, the name of the character who did it, and obviously she's obviously half white, or her mom married somebody who was white, because she's got a European first name, Francesca Amewudah-Rivers. And when you look at her, this has easily, I'm sorry, I'm just going to say it. This has easily got to be one of the ugliest looking fucking black women I have ever seen. At least in her face. So that, again, she covers up, her clothing covers up her physical body. So I'm going to have to assume that she's nothing in that department either. Even for a woman in her 20s, this, for instance, when we start talking about the 1 to 10 metric, I have two different metrics. There's the one for all women in general, and then there's the one for women that are in the fertility window. And the fertility window is about basically 16 to about 45. And even with the first metric, where, with the first metric, it is exceedingly rare that a woman in her 20s will get anything less than a 6. Why is that? Because at least in my opinion, even some really plain, ugly looking women are still going to be better looking than a decrepit old woman in a wheelchair sitting in a retirement home, or somebody who has to deal with a massive personal disfigurement or is morbidly obese. So basically, the first metric is all women in general. Even going by that standard, which is the first metric. Francesca Amewudah-Rivers. Fuck, I can't say that second name. Francesca, I'll just call her fucking Juliet, is a 5. It looks like she has a fucking hairy lip. I'm not going to go into some of the descriptions that white supremacists.
God. Oh my God! No amount of makeup could really hide that. Anyway,
it looks like she's even for a woman in her 20s, like she is like, oh my God, like, who the fuck cast this chick? Like, seriously, I can think of, well, I can't think of necessarily by name, but I can think of at least 2 or 3 female African, and there's a lot of them right now because of all the wokeness that's going on in Hollywood. Like, you're going to come and look at me and tell me that they could not come up with a better looking actress for Juliet than the one that they actually picked. And of course, they're trying to make it about race, and they're getting ratioed to bits because it's sort of like, no, it's not about race. Francesca Amewudah is just like unattractive. Period. Like, she's not a good looking woman. Even using, if you wanted to go by the second metrics, which is how does she rate for women that are in the fertility window, she's like a 3 or 4. And they're desperately trying to play the race card. And the same thing is going to happen. This movie is going to tank epically because, right? I mean, like, just stop with, and it's obvious that it was a feminist that's doing the casting of this, or a feminist wokester that's doing the casting on this, because this actress, yeah, like, I'm not going to call her hideous because she's not hideous, but they picked probably the least fucking attractive woman they could possibly pick for Juliet. And yeah, she is. She's going to stop short of calling her ugly, but by Hollywood standards, she is not fucking attractive in any form or capacity. Women, well, not Rosie O'Donnell, there's that other comic actress. That woman is actually better looking than Amewudah. There's women in their 50s. Literally everything, even and by the way, Whoopi Goldberg was never all that attractive when she was at her acting peak. But even Whoopi Goldberg looks better than this woman does. That is saying something, because Whoopi Goldberg is not an attractive looking woman. This woman, this Francesca chick who's playing Juliet, she's even uglier than Whoopi Goldberg, which is saying something about how bad looking she is. And of course, they're trying to, like I said, playing the race card, and I'm done. Continue, Ritchson.
Well, again, having been intimate with a woman from Kenya, and she had a nice, really nice set of chesticles. First time I've actually seen a woman when I was intimate with, I actually see her eyes roll to the back of her head. So, it was fun. I wish I indulged more in that one, but I wasn't emotionally mature to be in that kind of a relationship with her. That being said, that woman is, I can't say she's hideous, but she is not something that I would be chasing. She's got a furry, fuzzy lip. Like, she almost looks like a guy. Like, the images that I'm seeing of her right now.
That's what I was going to say. She looks like a guy.
Oh yeah, she does. She looks rather feminine. Like, it almost looks like with her trapezoids that she's got the shoulders of a guy. Now, there's another one of her with her hair braided and her hair grown out, but I'm sorry, I cannot but look at that light fuzzy mustache of hers. That's what I would expect from Mediterranean women. Now, I did look into her profile a bit, and she
She was born in Brighton to a Ghanaian father and a Nigerian mother. So she probably just added the Rivers name for her acting career, just so that way she'd be able to distinguish herself a little bit more. So she wouldn't be seen more specifically as a predominantly African actress in Britain, living in Britain. No idea what she sounds like. Not interested in looking her up or finding out what else that she's done. Don't know. And I really don't care. If I was to walk by her on the street, I assure you, I am quite doubtful that I would even look back and see. I would not, that meme of the guy with the girl, and it's, whatever the subject is. I'd keep walking. I really would. There's nothing outstanding about her. And very easy to overlook. Kind of like how most women are towards guys. They just don't show up on the radar. But there's some guy that would look at that as like, yep, I'd tap that. And you know what? If you're going to tap it, great, go for it. Knock yourself out.
Oh, here's the thing about that. I mean, I went over to the discussion. There were literally guys that were saying, "Oh, I would tap that," and say, "Well, fucking congratulations, you're one of the few that would."
Yeah. Yeah. No, fair enough. Fair enough. I don't see this. I don't see the movie doing very well just because you've got the token black bitch, shall we say. You got the token white, you got the token black female for a lead that, well, she may have been more Mediterranean, more of a darker skin tone for Caucasian, or Italian, not that dark and not with that kind of hair. So, and by that kind of hair, I mean the expected atypical black tight afro, if you're to just let it grow out. So, now, that all being said and done, again, I'm not a media person. Again, the last movie that I saw was Sound of Freedom. It takes a lot to make me go see a movie. And I will be honest with you, this doesn't even show up on my radar. I don't fucking care. And I care even less because it is the usual expected Wokesters, the blue check marks, whatever you want to fucking call it, to get someone in there that traditionally would not be there. Again, why don't we have a romance movie about the Zulus? And let's change the Zulus over to, let's change Shaka to being the white Massa. Let's see how well that one goes over. I'm just saying. And on that note, I'm done. Fuck.
Yep. Yeah, just wow. Yeah, you're right. Just oh my god. Could this guy have possibly said something? Could they have possibly picked a worst actress for the part? I don't think so. I mean, maybe her acting ability is okay, but it's to say Hollywood needs to be populated by pretty people, but I mean, they didn't even bother trying to. And I mean, when I was at Vancouver Film School, we had a situation come up like this, and ironically enough, the woman that was involved in this particular casting choice did actually end up going on to have a fairly respectable acting career. She was in a couple of TV series. She was in a couple of movies, and they handed it to her because she had that whole white Aryan thing going on. And we were having, when we had the auditions, she came in. She did okay, right? Like if you're going to grade her, she probably scored about a 70 out of 100. Now there was another actress that came in. She wasn't nearly as well. I mean, we'll see nearly. I mean, it's like compared to say the one. I just got to name who it was that did it. Emily Ullerup is the one who came in audition first before, and the other one came in. And she's not a 10. I'd probably rate her maybe because Emily Ullerup, man, like Emily Ullerup is one of the few verified 10s that I've actually physically encountered. The other chick that came in, she wasn't ugly, but I mean, she was like a 6 or 7, like not super attractive. But she, I mean, when her audition was better, like she would have scored like an 80. Like she didn't crush Emily Ullerup, but she she did a better audition. And 2/3 of the guys in my class just like literally just and by the way, all but one of the women also voted to just hand the part to Emily Ullerup, and I was sort of like in there screaming my goddamn lungs out because it's sort of like, no, guys, no, okay, she didn't do a better audition than the other one. Like, we don't just give it to the fucking pretty chick because she's smoking ass hot. And Emily Ullerup is smoking ass hot, right? Like the other one did better. So we had worked out a compromise, and Emily got the supporting role, and the other girl got the other part, right? And but I mean, I screamed bloody murder, and it wasn't because I was feeling principled about feminism or anything like that. She got the part because she did a better audition. The other girl, I mean. And don't know enough about Francesca's acting abilities, but unless Francesca absolutely smashes the role of Juliet out of the park, this movie's going to tank. The way the marketing department is handling it, this movie's going, like, everything about this movie is going to tank because the casting director wanted to fucking show everybody how fucking woke he or she was. Like, yeah, like the actors and everybody else on the crew is going to have to up their game for this show to even have a chance at break even, much less turn a profit. And with that, we'll move on to the next topic. Okay, this one we might be on for a while. Just giving you all a heads up. So, Disney. Once again, we're talking about Disney. We're not talking about the MCU doing, we're not talking about the MCU trying to pass off a female Silver Surfer or anything that phenomenally stupid. But, on the heels of this, Disney just cannot not step in it. Over and over and over again, they just keep stepping in it. This time, what happened with Star Wars? This time, though, it was Lucasfilm and Star Wars. First thing that happened is that, or the first thing that I was made aware of was the fact that on Twitter, Lucasfilm got caught using bots to promote. Hold on a second.
This job, it's a death wish. I'm in.
got caught using bots to promote the Star Wars movie. And this is not something unusual. The Lucasfilm probably bought and paid for bots in an attempt to kind of deflect the criticism from Kathleen Kennedy in the movie. Because, I noticed what happened is that you would just have these random people coming on, posting up these short statements about Star Wars, and then never responding to their critics, right? Bots, once you know what to look for, bots are very easy to catch. They are incredibly easy to catch. The whole thing about this situation was that they did it, and Elon Musk, although he didn't completely get rid of bots on Twitter, he structured it now that bots are a lot easier to detect. And they got caught. Then, of course, what happened is, and this is becoming, and you take a look at when we were just talking about earlier, when I mentioned Star Wars. One of the community manager, aka the person that is responsible for managing the publicity online, the publicity in person, whatever, said, so I can't remember specifically what she said, but she was not only exposed as being an anti-white racist, but also a misandrist, that she hates men. So she especially hates white men. And she got exposed for it. And of course, Disney being Disney, or Lucasfilm being Lucasfilm, didn't even raise so much as a peep about it and decided to keep her on. We all know where this is going, and we all know that Star Wars hasn't done movies in a while. And of course, right, this just keeps going on and on and on and on. It's like, my only consideration at this point for Disney is to just let the corporation fucking die. There's so much of it everywhere. Everything that they touch. Have you noticed, by the way, that since Star Wars, they haven't made any additional purchases? Well, for one, they haven't got the money to do it, but because especially what they did to Star Wars, they have done so much damage to the Star Wars brand that even if they sold it off, which they may have to do at some point, it would require at least a decade to rehabilitate. And they would have to go in and do the same thing that they did at Deadspin Sports, which is literally go in and go, yeah, everyone's fired. Everyone is fired. You might get rehired, but we're going to go through every single person where you're fired. And then, of course, it's well, what can I say, right? It's their company. They can do whatever they want with it. You want to do ESG? Be my guest. Just remember, though, ESG's been exposed. Most people know what ESG is about. Most people know what DEI is about now. And you do get people, for instance, I was just talking with Ritchson at the start of the show about what is going on with Warhammer, for instance. And there's people out there who actually tried to put, well, it's a conspiracy theory. And it's no, it's not a fucking conspiracy theory. Just go over and look at companies that have consistently done stupid shit. Go over and look at Bud Light. Go over and look at I think it was the United Airlines that was flying illegal immigrants into the United States on the red eye. Gillette. The list goes on and on and on. And it's every time you look, you see BlackRock, State Street, and Vanguard as owners. Now, it's if it was only happening once or twice, it would be, okay, it's just a coincidence. But we're at the point now where they've done it so much, so often, and so frequently that when a company does do something stupid, like say with what Warhammer has done with the Adeptus Custodes, and it seems like completely detached from reality and completely detached from the lore, the first thing people start to do is they will go over and take a look at who owns them, who owns it, like who has controlling interest in this, like who owns stock in it, and it's consistently almost every single time BlackRock, Vanguard, State Street, and this is what happens, and I hate to say let Disney die, but you're going to have to let Disney and all its subsidiaries, that would be Pixar and Lucasfilm and the MCU, you're just going to have to stand back and let them die. And then they will sell them off, and then maybe we'll start getting better movies, or maybe these parasites that exist inside Disney will try to slither over to another studio. But I mean, the studios that are around, I mean, this is a Hollywood-wide thing, though. This isn't just Disney. Disney is just the worst of the lot. Now, getting onto the last part about this, the video games that Disney has come out with, they have been deliberately, and this is not just the video games for Star Wars. So you're seeing this with all the AAA games and all of the stuff. This is one of the new tracks that's been going on with Sweet Baby, which is kind of like gone quiet now for a little bit. But this is one of the new tracks that has been going on with Sweet Baby, is that they've been looking at the female characters that are coming out in these games, and most of them are not particularly attractive in any classical sense. Like, they're ugly. They're trying to make women ugly. And that has also been noticed. And, what can I say? I mean, and this is my situation, which is probably the reason why I'm heading down to Calgary, and specifically Cochrane tomorrow. You just, like, why do you want to bankrupt yourself? Do you really, get woke, go broke is a real thing? But even knowing that get woke, go broke is a real thing, these people continue to do what they're doing. And the only reason that they're continuing to do what they're doing is because A, they're invested in what they're doing financially, emotionally, whatever, or B, they're completely deluded and detached from reality. And if they're detached from reality, you shouldn't be putting them in charge of a product that is supposed to appeal to people to go see movies, because this is what you get. And again, I think Disney is going to go one of two ways. Either A, the company is just going to completely bankrupt itself, or B, they are going to have very little choice. They're going to have to start selling assets off to pay their bills, and they're going to continue to shrink in size until they have to completely rebuild themselves. Because I mean, it's very clear what happened with the Silver Surfer. I think it was last week when they pulled that stunt with the Silver Surfer. I mean, I think that was a backbreaker, especially on the heels of what occurred with what happened with the stockholders meeting. And with that, I'm going to turn it over to Ritchson.
Okay. Again, because I don't have a fuck to give on social media any more than I have to, and I don't. I have nothing to say about Disney. Well, okay, Disney using bots to promote Star Wars Outlaws. So that's the game. Fine, whatever it takes. These are mistakes that are being made or done or whatever. for I wouldn't be surprised if it was AI with the bot creations. And if it was, this requires a lot more refinement. And that's fine. Now, Star Wars Outlaws is a game that's being made by Ubisoft. I remember back in the day, and I've got those old games on my computer now. TIE Fighter, X-Wing versus TIE Fighter. I've got pretty much all of the old Star Wars games through GOG, goodoldgames.com. And I enjoy indulging in playing it. A lot of fun. And that was back when they knew what they were doing. That's when George was in charge, ultimately, and gave the okay of what he liked or what he didn't like. Don't have that now. I mean, Frank Oz, the guy that does the voice of Grover from Sesame Street, or better known as Yoda, he's not doing anything on Sesame Street because creatively it's, well, this is not what Jim would have done, Jim Henson at the time. And the reply was basically, well, Jim's not around and we're in charge now. So he's not there anymore for good reason, for personal reasons. He's happy to do what he needs to do with Yoda, but that's basically about it. Point being, this is not the Star Wars that you're looking for. This is not the Star Wars that we grew up with. And Ubisoft, give me just a quick minute to look into Ubisoft stakeholders. Shareholders. No. Alliance Bernstein. No, that's interesting. Anyway, I don't think that we're going to find the typical trifecta, but I wouldn't be surprised if they were in there. No, they're not. That is interesting. There's Ubisoft Entertainment out of France. There's Ubisoft Entertainment SA out of France. Oh my God. Tencent owns 10% of the company. Holy fuck, that's huge. And that's out of China. Guillemot family. Okay, so all right. And it looks like there's a family part of the business that's also involved with being the stakeholders. Anyway, so this Shauna Jones is she works for Ubisoft. Now, part of the criticism of what's going on with Outlaws is that the main character, there was the person that it was modeled after, an attractive woman, I don't remember her name, but she got rose T-code, shall we say, where she's going to be, well, just like we talked about Romeo with Juliet, shall we say. Well, there will be some males that would be getting all hard and horny over her and will need some time to themselves and need to have an ample enough supply of tissues, shall we say. She ain't no Laura Croft. And this is the gaming industry is still barely male. It's not every woman is beautiful. Sorry, ladies. Not every woman is going to be a looker. And I think that from what I've seen of the poster for the game, she's not unfit, as in she's not fat, but she's been her beauty's been dumbed down, shall we say. And already given how stupid Ubisoft has been with enough of their business decisions, it's a company that really can't afford to be fucking up. So this Shauna Jones individual, actually, does Sweet Baby have their fingerprints of working with Ubisoft? I wouldn't be surprised, I think. Just give me a... Yikes. So who are their clients? Yeah, services, writing. So on their website, they've got the PlayStation controller for writing. So that's going to be their going into or touching on games. Good Lord, Gods of War Ragnarok. Well, I'm surprised that they didn't lose their fucking shit over being a bunch of white people. But it's only because, yeah, Ubisoft is one of their clients. Yeah, that's what I thought. That's exactly what I thought. Ubisoft is one of their clients. Electronic Arts, Valve, Square Enix, Compulsion Games, no idea who the fuck that is. Rocksteady, I imagine that's another game as well too. Xbox Game Studio and 2K and Warner Brothers Games. So I wouldn't be the least bit surprised if Sweet Baby got their claws into it. If they found someone who was rather anti-white male and really pushed to work with that individual to present the bullshit of what's going on with this one. And even though Disney and Lucasfilm, Lucasfilm is Disney's licensed out the rights for the game to Ubisoft, or Ubisoft, whatever you want to fucking call it. They can't afford to make this game a fucking flop, but in light of all of this, if I was a paying customer for games, which I'm not, like this, that is going to be on my I'm not touching this shit list. Whether or not Sweet Baby has their fingerprints on it or not, I don't fucking care. And you want to go against a significant enough portion of your paying gaming audience? Sure. Go ahead. Do it. Do it. Oh, Shauna. Do it. Dumb cunt. Stupid fucking tit. Just out of curiosity, I wonder if Shauna Jones, that's what her name is. I wonder if she is. Oh no, she's white. Stupid tit. Oh, you can't be that stupid, but I guess you can.
It's Shauna Jones, not Shauna White. But
no, Shauna Jones is Caucasian. I don't know. Maybe she's got a thing for BBCs. I don't know. Whatever floats her boat. But you gotta piss off your audience. Go right ahead. Do it. Don't come crying to me. Yeah. Oh my God. And her cheeks are so exaggerated. Holy crap. Like, it looks like she's got, like, with her cheekbones going up. Even the black and white pictures are not that great. Oh my God. Oh, she's a piece of work. Give me a minute here. I'm going to save the picture and I'll show you what I mean. Save image as. I'll just put it as yikes. is it? Right there. Under downloads. Okay, great. My apologies here, folks. My apologies. But yeah, there is nothing, and I mean nothing, that is appealing about this female. There you go, Naroki. Have fun with this one. I don't know what she forgot to do in that picture to make to put makeup on the rest of her face, but from the cheekbones down, it's people are complaining about Donald Trump looking orange man bad. This is orange, crazy orange bitch. Like that really is. That is just nuts. Oh my God.
Here's the thing: she's still better looking than Francesca Rivers.
Than Juliet. Than Juliet.
She literally, I mean, this woman is hideous, and she's still better looking than Juliet.
Yeah, I wouldn't touch that. Like, I would not touch that at all. So maybe she's gotten burned. Actually, my question to her would be, and how many white guys hurt you, baby? But anyway, you want to piss off your audience. You want to go and attack one of your probably your biggest demographic for the games, for Star Wars especially. Sure, go ahead and do it. Don't be bitching to me, or don't be bitching when the sales just don't come in, or not near this much as you think it's worth. So I got nothing to say. I'm done on this one. Fuck.
Oh,
Back to you.
Oh God, yeah, no, she's well, I mean, yeah, Hollywood is just like literally populated with this type of a woman.
Well, it's not just like I said. It's not like I said. She works for Ubisoft. So the Wokesters are everywhere, and no amount of beer or alcohol would make. Well, no, I'd take that back. At some point,
her, I would. Chidera, Francesca, just fucking call her Juliet. I keep bitching. Amewudah-Rivers, whatever. I keep botching a name. I don't drink anyway. But even if I did, there's not enough fucking alcohol on the planet to make me like her. Anyway,
exactly. Moving on. No folk standards. No folks. No standards. No standards at all.
Just keep being stupid, Disney. Just continue to be freaking stupid. That's all I'm gonna say. Watch your company die. Everybody who's not involved in Hollywood is seeing what is going on in Hollywood is at the point now where they're just like, yeah, it's a death watch. It's a fucking death watch. That's what it is. There's no other way to call it anything other than a death watch at this point. Anyway, and going into that, let's get into the next topic, which, by the way, is exactly indicative of it being a death watch. Now, Hollywood, the studios, actually, it's not just the studios, it's generally, even in any type of a corporatized film or television environment, what a lot of people will do if a series gets potentially greenlit is what they will do is that they will hire a crew, they will get a budget, and what they will do is they will go out and they will shoot a pilot or two. Literally every series that is on the air has at some point has some type of a pilot shot for it. There's usually several of them. There's usually over 100 a year done. They're just they set up for a week or two, maybe a month, then they shoot it, and then they put the thing together and they submit it for approval from the studio, and the studio green lights it, and it either becomes a series or it doesn't go anywhere at all. and the pilot gets shelved, there's usually almost around 100, give or take, every year. This year, apparently, there are only 5 or 6 being shot. There's a number of reasons for that. First of all, I mean, studios have to green light the production of a pilot in the first place. So my guess is that when it comes to pilots, the budget just isn't there to do it anymore. And the reason why the money isn't there to do it anymore is because in most cases, the studios just don't have the money to throw at it. And they don't have the money to throw at it to make a catch-all thing. And it's not just get woke, go broke. There has been a huge number of multiple reasons why Hollywood is running out of cash. Get woke, go broke is the most obvious one. But, I could go into a long tangent of reasons why. The cost, the fact that what ended up happening as a result of Me Too is that Me Too got weaponized and took out people that didn't necessarily do anything. And a lot of people in Hollywood just decide, oh, no, I got my money. I'm leaving. Like, I'm not even going to take that chance. So there was a huge exodus of what we call creative talent out of Hollywood when Me Too came in. And it was a bit of a closed unit. You got wokeism. You've got you've got a huge number of reasons why. And the fact of the matter is the fact that they only greenlit 5 or 6 pilots this year to come out as new series. The only reason that they would do that is if they're being a lot tighter with the money. And why are they being a lot tighter with the money? Because the revenue just isn't coming in anymore for, again, a multitude of reasons. Wokeism, politics, culture, people have other options available to them. There's a number of reasons why Hollywood as a entity is really basically starting to fade out rapidly. Kind of glad, actually, that I never actually went that route now. You can produce, there's example after example after example after example now of people. And I'm surprised. Well, Sound of Freedom was one example. But I'm kind of surprised that, and this is probably because they've got YouTube in their back pocket, that somebody just hasn't gone out and done a completely net-funded TV series that is just for the internet. I'm surprised that somebody hasn't gone and done that yet. And again, a lot of that has to do with how YouTube conducts itself. And so YouTube became an impediment, which again is another reason why YouTube is dying. There's a lot of people in Hollywood who were crew that are not working and are having to do other things now to support themselves because the film jobs, even the pilots, are not there, right? Don't know what the indie scene is like in LA right now, or basically in Hollywood right now. But I have to imagine that the indie scene, which, by the way, is nowhere near as independent as people think it is also probably struggling getting funding. A lot of people in Hollywood are struggling, and the revenues just ain't there. They haven't got money to play around with. And you still got people like Shauna Jones and the idiots over at Disney continuing to engage in wokeism, which is causing even more economic damage to their company. And this is one of the signs. You know, you've also got the actor strikes. And it's just, I mean, even if Hollywood does something, like, I mean, what will probably happen is that you will probably get a studio or two down the line that will wake the fuck up and realize what's going on and go, no, we're not going to go that route. And you are seeing that with a couple of studios in Hollywood that are choosing to not do that, and they will do okay. But the era of Hollywood dominance is likely on the way out. And you cannot, because this is the same sort of thing. And again, because I know my history, this is the same sort of thing that happened with the Colosseum. Now, I've actually watched a couple of documentaries on the Colosseum. One of the signs that that Rome as a society was really on the decline was that they, like any other entertainment venue, the Colosseum had to keep up supplies of gladiators, of soldiers, of wild animals. Had to have their criminals brought in, etc. The bread and circuses, the people who managed the bread and circuses weren't getting the resources, and it had in the Colosseum in every city, but specifically the one in Rome, they had their overhead, and they just weren't getting the supplies that they required to put on the shows that they needed. I saw one part of a documentary where one of the guys who was managing one of the guys who sent he sent this letter directly to the emperor too, by the way. He said, well, we can't toss slaves to the lions because we've tossed so many fucking slaves to the same lions that the lions just won't fucking eat anymore because they're full all the time. Like the lions are fat and lazy. They don't have to eat, right? So they're not eating. Like the alligators aren't eating, the lions aren't eating, and we're not getting any new supplies because it's sort of like you have to kind of like manage the hunger of the beast. And if you're having to send the same animal out day after day after day after day after day, right? The animal doesn't have to do that much, right? It's getting its food. It's sitting nice and safe and comfortable in a cell underneath the Colosseum. You know, if you send it out there and it's eaten like consistently large meals every single day, several days in a row, you know, if it's not hungry, if an animal's not hungry, it's not hungry. I mean, they've even proven that with piranhas. They fed piranhas so much food that the piranhas are just like literally stuffed. And then when you do that, you can stick your hand in you can stick a bleeding carcass or your hand into a aquarium full of piranhas and not get touched. And why are they not touching you? Because they're not fucking hungry. That's why. Same thing here. They're running out of resources to keep the bread and circuses going. And that's what this is. And by the way, you're also starting to see this in the sports community as well. And yeah, what can I say? This is one of the signs. They just don't have money to throw at TV pilots. And the reason why they don't have money to throw at TV pilots is because the money's not there to do it. And that is going, and you're going to see that 2, 3, 4 years down the road as like they're going to keep bad series going because they don't have anything to replace it with, because they haven't shot enough pilots or they haven't come out with enough decent material to keep it going. Most of the talented people have left Hollywood. That's one of the other things that tends to happen in Hollywood. In fact, it's a rite of passage, which fortunately I never had to deal with. But I know some people in Edmonton that submitted stuff to Hollywood, and Hollywood took their idea, claimed they weren't interested, and then some executive took the idea and pitched it to another studio, and it became a TV series or it became a movie. I know 3 people that have had stuff like that happen to them. Screenplay theft. Hey, yeah, there's a number of reasons why some people just don't, and they don't have to either. That's the thing, right? So why bother? And with that, I'm going to turn it over to Ritchson.
This is where that I just don't give a shit because I don't care. The only thing that had my interest as of late in terms of media was The Mandalorian. And that died a very bloody feminist. bloody menstrual death. I really don't care. There's nothing in any of this that piques my interest. Again, if Naroki didn't bring this up, I wouldn't know. I really wouldn't. Another factor as well, too, my friend, if you're when you talk about this again in the future, or the failings of Hollywood studios, is they're not making any money, none, off of streaming. They'll have to either incorporate commercials, which basically turns it back into being TV. It's just a slightly, it's a different form. Or, as Disney is, Netflix has done, they're going to have to increase the price for the services. And either way, that's just going to turn people off and they're just going to go somewhere else. So, I would shed a tear in my beer for them, but they know this. They know this. But DEI and all that other fun stuff, and in particularly Disney, just because it's not the biggest studio out there anymore. But it is the most recognized. It's the one that is most recognized. Disney's has fallen from its peak. They have no one to blame but themselves. And as you mentioned already, the whole thing with the Disney shareholders meeting. No, they don't. They don't have the money because no one is buying their shit. The products are garbage. The politics is rampant. And you basically go out of your way at the time to piss off half of your audience. About half of the audience that you're catering to, they're waking up as well too. So Hollywood is in no position to do anything in terms of pilot series for television. And television is it's a dying audience as well, a dying media, dinosaur media, just like the news. So if you really want me to be surprised with this one, I'm just going to say, no, I'm not. Period. I just am not. And again, it takes a lot. It's a Herculean effort for me to go to the movies. It is going to be... I'm about as moved to go back to subscribing to TV as Colossus was unable to move the Blob in the Marvel Comics. It is pretty much impossible to get me to do anything of the sort. So I'm the demographic that they need to convert to bring back, and it ain't happening. It just is not happening. I'm much more discerning with my time. I'm much more discerning with my efforts. So, yeah. I got nothing. And I mean that exactly that. I have nothing more to say on the matter. So good luck, guys. You're going to fucking need it, and you're going to have to admit that you're wrong. And only then you might start to get back into the groove. So back to you.
I got nothing. I mean, yeah, we're talking about some incredibly, the level of narcissism that exists in Hollywood is just right off the charts. Narcissists will never admit they're wrong, like ever, unless they will admit they're wrong if things are really so bad. But I mean, they won't. But I mean, yeah, it's like the only way you could deal with a narcissist is you have to remove it, and you also have to hold on a second. You also have to remove the people underneath them, because I mean, you end up with a bunch of sycophants. So yeah, it's not particularly good for them to be doing that. But anyway, let's get on with the next topic here. Oh, Ritchson, I hope you're not where you going, man. You better be coming back fairly quickly here, because these last two might go fairly quickly. Anyway, so if you're not into the situation, what is going on here is that, I mean, there was the Joker movie that came out couple of years ago, and it did well. It did really well. Wokesters at the time, because it broke from the traditional mold of what a movie was going, especially what a hero or villain movie was. It was a different take, and it was unique. It had brought a very similar style to Taxi Driver. And oddly enough, Robert De Niro was actually in the movie too, which I found rather ironic. The whole situation with that movie is that it was unique. It had a different take, and the character who was it Joaquin Phoenix, I think, who played the Joker. Yeah, it was a different take. Joaquin Phoenix, like, you could almost see the Joker being who he was, although again, right, the thing about the Joker is that the Joker is an absolute blind psychopath, which means they're going to have to come up with some explanation, like maybe he ends up with medical trauma or chemical trauma or something like that. There has to be some trauma that has to be inflicted on the Joker at some point, probably in the next movie, to explain why he turns into a full-blown psychopath. Because I mean, the way the Joker is written in the comic book series, he's not rage-driven. You know, the rage gets him to a certain point, but it's not. It obviously wasn't going to be the end point for the Joker. There has to be some type of story. So hopefully they will cover that in this next movie. Lady Gaga is in it. Now, I don't know what her role in this movie is going to be. Lady Gaga, I could see Lady Gaga pulling off Harlequin. If there is a character that I think Lady Gaga could pull off effectively, it would be Harlequin.
Deflect, you got a joke for us today?
Imagine me and you, I do. I think about you day and night. It's only right to think about the girl you love and hold it tight, so it'll be together.
I haven't done anything with my life like you have.
to be. The only one for me is you, and you for me. So happy together. I wanna see the real you. But I can't see nobody but you for all my life. When you're with me, baby, the skies will be blue for all my life. So happy together.
And is she going to be the precursor to Harlequin? Maybe. But for whatever reason, that just completely blows my mind. The fact that Lady Gaga is in this movie is causing the Wokesters to start openly gloating and actually saying, ha ha, this movie's going to be woke as fuck. That's not a guarantee of anything. There's the public persona of Lady Gaga, and then apparently there's the other side of it. And Lady Gaga was one of only two, because like I've worked on sets. I've worked on concert performances that come into town. I haven't done it in a few years, but I used to. One of the shows that I did was Lady Gaga. Lady Gaga was one of only two performers that actually personally came back and thanked the support staff for doing their jobs. And if you're thinking that's you thinking it's no big deal. Trust me, there have been some performers, Kings of Leon, Prince, there's a couple of them that are like or Madonna, who are like so fucking self-absorbed and narcissistic that you actually like dealing with the people around them was almost as bad as is literally as bad as you hear. Now, I will point out that there was a crowd of people around Lady Gaga that kind of made her intolerable, that made things less than tolerable. But Lady Gaga herself, at least at that point in time, appeared to have enough consideration to thank the crew for doing their jobs. Now, if she's still that way or not, but I mean, in the case of Lady Gaga, I gotta wonder if not necessarily her, but the people around her that are causing her to come off the way she's coming off. Because yeah, she struck me as somebody who's a little bit. I mean, she did her cool down. She was walking around the basement of Rexall afterwards, and she had a fairly large bottle of champagne with her, so man, she might have a drinking problem. But seemed to be she didn't seem to be match the image that has been portrayed about her publicly. And that's something, but I will also point out one of the other things that I noticed about Lady Gaga as opposed to some of the other performers that come into town. Lady Gaga, and trust me, I've worked some shows with some really big performers over the years. And, and this is going to sound really weird because you think that this happens a lot, but it actually, at least not in the city I live in, like you don't get a bunch of screaming, raving fans standing at the back entrance where we're tearing down the circus, screaming and yelling and basically making a lot of noise, right? Like it doesn't actually happen. But with Lady Gaga, there actually was a bit of a crowd around the back where we were doing our work, which was rather unusual because those type of fans, and this is going to sound really weird, but I mean, you get those types of fans when the WWE comes into town. right? Like you'll get a bunch of you'll have people lined up around the back fences, and you actually security has to actually do its job and screen everybody before they go down. This was Lady Gaga was the only time I actually had to show my had to show proof that I actually was with the union before I went down to the circus. And so if everybody seen Ritchson, can you hear me?
I can hear you now. I was just going to say
Oh.
You went quiet there. Lost
Where did
you.
I go quiet?
Probably about 15 seconds ago. In terms of what you were talking about, sorry.
Okay, I can't even remember. Yeah, this is the reason why you had to have somebody listening. So yeah, without losing track of whatever I said. So yeah, if leftists are thinking that somehow that happened, okay. Oh yes, that's right. Will Lady Gaga be singing in the Joker movie? It's more than likely there will be a scene or two like that. Is it going to turn into a woke, let's preach the message type of a movie because Lady Gaga is in it? No, not necessarily. I understand that there are some very strong opinions about Lady Gaga. I think some of the people around her are insufferable. And I've noticed that a lot with the major stars. Bono, a lot of the people who worked around Bono were also really the direct people that worked around Bono were also unnecessarily insufferable, really ego driven. But she herself doesn't seem to be like that. And this is not the film. This is not the music industry. This is a film set where the director has the final say. And I don't think the director is going to want Lady Gaga's people telling him how he's going to shoot his goddamn movie. So, almost interested to see where Lady Gaga fits into this. But I mean, if you're thinking that just because it's got Lady Gaga in it, that it's going to be a woke piece of shit, or that you should be gloating about the fact that she's in a movie, as again, Lady Gaga brings out some very strong reactions and opinions on people. But, I don't think this movie is going to be what they're expecting. And with that, I'm going to turn it over to Ritchson. And with that, I'm going to turn it over to Ritchson.
Oh, sorry. I thought I pressed the button to unmute myself. All right. I don't honestly have an opinion on this one. Again, if you didn't bring it up, I would know what's going on. So, that being said, I know, Naroki, that you had an overall positive opinion of the first Joker movie. And even then, it wasn't enough for me to. It was not enough for me to go watch it. Even to watch it streaming or to pirate it, torrent, whatever. I'm not motivated. I really am not motivated. So I already know that I'm not going to go see this movie. And again, it's not because of anything in particular. I just have no motivation. It's been lacking for quite a long time. As for the Wokesters losing their mind over it because Lady Gaga's in it or whatever, I don't know. I don't really fucking care. I really don't. I have much more important things in my life that I need to work on and to be doing. And this movie and overall movies in general are just not in my. It's not in my purview. It's not within. Even if I took the blinders off to media, I'm just this. Metaphorically speaking, I just feel like I'm just that dog in front of the fireplace and just kind of go, you know what? I'm good. I don't need to do any more than I don't have to. So, but fucking whatever. Now, if they maintain the air of the first Joker movie going into this one, to at least have some box office momentum, great, good for them. Lord knows that Hollywood needs every little bit, every little win in one form or another to still remain somewhat relevant, because otherwise it ain't going anywhere. So once again, don't give a shit, don't care, and I'm not going to be screaming, and I certainly don't follow Lady Gaga in any way, shape, or form. So, meh. That's all I got. Just a great big meh. So let's move on to the last one.
Yeah, exactly. This isn't the only, and this is something else that's coming up as the culture war heats up. You're getting people coming in that are just saying like these massively unhinged things, and you look at what they're saying, and it's like, I got some news for you, man. It's not the own that you think it is. And this is happening more and more frequently. Anyway, but continuing on. Last topic of the night. Now, this one was kind of interesting because, I mean, I knew we had it as a top. We were going to have it as a topic tonight. So I actually did go out and go see the movie last night. Now, it was okay. Kirsten Dunst's character actually dies close to the end of the movie. The movie purposely, and I think this was done on purpose, does not take sides in the culture war. Now, the way the movie is portrayed, what you have are three large contingents of states, Texas, Florida, and California, that all decide to rebel against the government. And there's not really a backstory as to there's something at one point called the Antifa massacre at one point that's talked about, but it's not made clear whether it was Antifa that was doing the massacre or whether it was Antifa that was getting massacred. The movie very intentionally does not lay the blame for what's going on at the foot of anybody. What does happen in the movie, though, is that whatever the case may be, the rebels are winning, and they're closing in on DC, and the president is, again, there's not a whole backstory as to what happened. The president comes in at the beginning and the ending of the movie, and you hear his voice from time to time, and it's very clear that he's not exactly well liked. But what happens is that these three reporters, led by Kirsten Dunst, because again, that is one thing I did notice about this. It was a girl power movie, though. They've decided that they are going to go down to DC and try to land an interview with the president as this thing starts to unwind. As the president starts to lose power, they want to get because it's obvious that the president himself was the one who potentially who was the cause of the start of this war. Although again, no specific details are given, which kind of pissed off leftists because they wanted the president to be sort of like a Trump figure, and at the very end, when the president's face is revealed and his haircut and whatever, he does kind of look like Trump. But I mean, again, right, that might have just been an actor. So it's hard to say what happened. And you also have a situation where people in Texas and Florida are telling the studio, like, there's no fucking way we would ally ourselves with California. Like, none. So this is a highly fictionalized scenario. It was not woke. You actually saw people getting shot. You saw people getting executed in cold blood. You saw people getting necklaced. You saw the refugee problem. You saw one really potentially scary scene where you had this one scene where the reporters get delayed by this guy, and what this guy does is he asks all of these, because there were basically two cars with them, and what he does, he starts asking all of these reporters where they're from. And the one guy who was from Hong Kong, he just shoots fucking foreigner and just kills him in cold blood. And what ends up happening is that was this one reporter who hadn't got with him. He gets in the car and he runs both of them over as they're about to shoot him. And as it goes on, they because they can't drive directly from New York to Washington, D.C., because all the roads into Philadelphia have basically been blown up or whatever. So they have to go around. They have to go through Pittsburgh and then down. And what ends up happening is that they get to the rebel base, where the base of operations, and they're about to go into D.C. And the remaining military that is supporting the president capitulates. So the movie ends up with them, because he's just got a few fanatical supporters in Secret Service, and that's it, right? Like, the war is pretty much over. And the last scene has them going into DC. They get to the White House. They get inside. They literally get inside the White House, and they're going along. And yeah, that's where Kristen Dunst pushes this one young reporter out of the way, and she takes the bullet for her, which was caught when she took a photo. And this girl goes in. They get to the president, and one of the other remaining reporters says, "Can I get a quote from you?" And then he gets the quote, and then he looks at the soldiers that are holding him up and says, "Okay, do whatever it is you want to do with them," and they kill him right on the spot. And there's a photo of them hanging over the dead body afterwards, and that's where the movie ends. There's no depth to the backstory. The way the movie is shot, they tried to go more with the horror of war as opposed to taking a political side. They demonstrated how it was affecting the infrastructure of the U.S. a lot, and they showed a lot of war scenes and how reporters have to work during a time of war. And there's one really bizarre scene when they're driving through Pennsylvania, where they're driving through this one town, and this town has not been touched by war at all. And it's like they get to downtown, there's been no war coming through this town at all. Like, there's nothing. Like, sprinklers are running, the street lights are up, and everything else. And they go downtown. They literally go downtown. They go into a coffee shop. They grab a coffee and a donut, and they go over to this boutique shop, and they're shopping in this boutique shop. And it's like during the scene, it's like one of them is like going, "Did I step through a time tunnel?" And it's not right until the very end that you get reminded when you're in a war, because one of the reporters one of the other actors looks over at Kristen Dunst and says, "There is war here. Take a very quick, casual look up on the roof of the building. You'll see you saw two guys up there with guns. So yeah, there is a war here. It's just not out in the open." And yeah, it looks very much, and I mean, I am going to buy the DVD on this one. I thought it was an okay movie. It's not great. It's probably about a 7. Like, it's not a masterpiece. I can see why it's been selling. doing a reasonable business at the box office, but it's not knocking anything out of the park, for lack of a better term. But I mean, it's doing okay. They had a very limited budget, and you can see where they had to spend that budget on this movie, and they spent a lot of it on obviously hiring what looks like professional soldiers to do scenes for them. It's gritty. It's different from most of the stuff you see coming out of Hollywood, but it's not woke, and it looks very, very much like the director on purpose didn't want to take a side. Now, one of the controversies that came up about this movie is that they got some of their war footage from people who are on quote unquote the wrong side of the culture war, guys like Andy Ngo and so forth, and a bunch of leftists started screaming, well, how dare you buy footage off Andy Ngo to use in your movie? And it's like, I don't fucking care, right? If I want riot footage, like Andy Ngo would be a very good source for that, right? And it's not the only thing in the movie, but there were actually people calling for a boycott because, the director bought or used a couple of scenes of footage from Andy Ngo's files. And it's like, it's not a significant part of the movie, what Andy Ngo's footage. It comes in right at the very beginning, and that's it. So, yeah, it's an interesting movie. It's a different take, and again, right, there was no backstory filled in, so there was no clear bad guy or good guy in the movie. You kind of get the inference as you go through that maybe the Western Alliance is not, are sort of maybe the good guys, and the president and what he did, he was maybe the bad guy, but there are no specific details given out. Again, right, you see the effects of war, you see what it does to people, you have these really weird scenes in the movie that make it kind of surreal at times. But it's definitely more of a character-driven movie. Yeah, Kirsten Dunst does actually a pretty good job. And it's kind of weird because it's like you actually get to see an actress who back in the day, back when she was doing the original Spider-Man movies, Kirsten Dunst had herself, she had herself a nice big juicy rack. And she still actually has a pretty decent body, but it's very, very clear that Kirsten Dunst has not spent any of the money that she's made on plastic surgery. And it shows. And because it shows, she's a perfect fit for that particular movie. So, yeah, gonna get the DVD. There's lots of other stuff out there for me to see, so I'm not going to be going to see it again. But it was a unique and different take. I'm going to give it about a 7 or an 8. And, yeah, I'm sorry if this looks like a review, but that's pretty much what happened. And, Ritchson, you can take us out.
I know I'm not going to see it. I don't really care.
No, you must see it. You have to see it. I'm just kidding.
Once you must. Oh yeah, we gotta talk about him as well too. But I will not eat the bugs. I will not watch the movies, and I don't give a flying fuck.
Yeah, you must eat the bugs and watch the movie.
No. Yeah, I'm just going to be that dog in front of the fire. I'll lift up my head once in a while. Go, huh? What? Yeah, it's nice and warm here. I'm good. And yeah, on that note, I've got nothing edgy to say for closing off this episode. So we will stick around, folks. We still have more to cover. And on that note, I am done.
Yeah, we're done tonight. That was topic number 7. Yeah, so I will tell you right now, 272 is going to just giving you a bit of a preview here. 372 looks like it's going to be very sports heavy. But with that, thank you all for listening. Yeah, we're going to try to end this kind of early. Me and the Ritchson have to step aside here and have a conversation, although I can't specifically remember about what, although I am. We'll talk about it later. But that is it for this show tonight. Thank you very much for listening, and I will see you on the next one. Oh, yes. Patreon, Red Pill Nation, all right, Niroki 5, and again, YouTube, MGTOW TV, BitChute, Odyssey, Rumble, Facebook, Minds, Gab, MeWe, and Getter. That is it for now. Thank you.